Hi, I'm Jennifer Yoder, Communications and Engagement Director with Christian Peacemaker Teams, where we build partnerships to transform violence and oppression. I want to share with you, since we're talking about storytelling, a couple of ways that CPT uses stories, and I'm going to demonstrate that for you. Here's one way we use stories to help people understand what's going on the ground. Latif, or that's what I'm calling him, is a kindergartner in Palestine who was walking on a rubble-strewn path that was filled with debris and that was pretty dangerous on the way to school every day, while right next to him there was a clean, well-kept road where Israeli settlers and military were allowed to walk, but Latif was not. As he continued his journey to school, he was also stopped by Israeli military who were armed at a military checkpoint just so he could get to kindergarten every single day. He was arriving unfocused and unsettled, and sometimes he was too scared to even make the walk, so he didn't show up at all. The teachers there asked Christian Peacemaker Teams to stand beside them in solidarity and to accompany those children on the way to school every day. And by the end of the year, we were accompanying those kids on the clean, well-kept street, and the teachers were reporting that Latif and his classmates were showing up focused, comfortable, and feeling much more safe. That's one way we use individual stories so that you're able to see what's going on the ground for even kindergartners like Latif when they live under occupation, and the impacts of Christian Peacemaker Teams' presence in Palestine. Another story I'm going to share with you is how I got involved with Christian Peacemaker Teams and invite you to get involved as well. It was 2009 in Columbus at the Mennonite Church USA Convention. The organization that I co-founded, Pink Menno, a queer advocacy group in the Mennonite Church, had its first presence. And we scared folks when we arrived with such a big presence. When people are scared and surprised, they tend to react in anger, or at least sometimes they do. And that was the case at one particular moment in the exhibit hall. We were approached by a large group of quite angry folks who were shouting at us, shouting about going home, about dykes and faggots, and about condemnation. We froze, and for what seemed like hours, but was probably a few seconds, not knowing what to do until we saw someone come and stand right in between us, put his hands up, and say to those folks who were screaming at us, "This isn't how we talk to each other. This isn't how we treat each other in this church." And he continued interacting with them. He was able to get us all to circle up and to pray together, and he transformed that situation from one of conflict into one where we were able to walk away feeling like community members. And that man was Jim Roynan, and he was a CPTer. He demonstrated right there one of the skills that we use in our peacemaking work around the world in places like Palestine, Iraqi Kurdistan, Colombia, and North America, where we, at the request of our partners, stand in solidarity to their nonviolent and peacemaking resistance to violence and oppression. That moment transformed me and got me really intrigued with CPT, as did my job interview with CPT, where I ended up leaving with more understanding of who I was than when I came, as did my delegation with Christian Peacemaker Teams, where I ended up standing on the mountains in Iraqi Kurdistan. I would invite you too to choose a way to get involved with Christian Peacemaker Teams so that you too can be transformed by the work, as I almost guarantee that you will. And that could be by making a contribution. It could be by liking our Facebook page. It could be by joining our mailing list to see what we're up to, or joining us in Detroit in July. Check out cpt.org to see what we're doing around water justice in Detroit. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed my stories. And one more thing, it's June, so happy Pride, folks. Have a good one.